Is Joel dead? And how episode 6 is the real beginning to The Last of Us. And why I recommend Pedro Pascal for the Emmy after what I saw of him in this episode. And we will talk about the differences between the game and the series in this video. So complete the video to the end to find out these things. And let's discuss in the comments about this episode because a lot has happened, especially about Joel's death. The episode begins with the final chilling moments of episode 5. The death of Henry by his own brother. The irony not forgotten that Henry did everything to save his brother from leukemia, yet he's the one who ends up killing him. The game fast forwards to fall. While in the show it's 3 months later, we're now in Wyoming, the place Joel's brother Tommy was last heard from if they find Tommy. He may know where this secret Firefly base is, the one filled with doctors who might be able to synthesize a cure for the cordyceps virus using Ellie's immune blood. This time it's not Ellie or Joel with the bow, but a man named Marlin, a resident here in the vast wilderness of Wyoming. Joel and Ellie have held Marlin's partner Florence at gunpoint, looking to find just where they are on this map. Florence was even nice enough to make him some soup.
You made him soup?
For those with a keen eye, you'll pick up the color of Florence's sweater purple, or as Maria will later refer to it as eggplant. It's been worn by several characters throughout this series, from Sarah and even Ellie. Its color can symbolize a wide array of things, from trustworthiness to wisdom to immaturity. Now Joel here has already asked Florence where they are on this map, and now asks Marlin the same question to see if they're lying. Marlin and Florence, characters who are not in the game, come across as this old bickering married couple. In fact, it was Marlin who dragged Florence out here, even though she wasn't a fan of the seclusion. The irony here that this seclusion is probably what saved their lives once the pandemic hit. In fact, these two seem so far off the grid they haven't even heard of the Fireflies. There are Firefly people they do know, however, that cities like Cody, Laramie, and the Wind River Reservation have all been taken over by infected, and the bodies they've seen along the river carried them from going any further west. If we're going by the map Marlin points out here, the supposed Death River, as they call it, is actually the Yellowstone River found in Yellowstone National Park. If you are a fan of the world of The Last of Us, why don't you subscribe to the channel? We review every episode as soon as it comes down and give you some nice details, so subscribe to the channel. This episode does even more than say episode 4. To continue to strengthen the dynamic between Joel and Ellie and their relationship in ways that Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey communicated so eloquently, these two actors are truly forces of nature. Like, I honestly think Pedro Pascal can do just about anything if you look at his most famous roles, but also all the side characters he would play in small bit parts over the years, than something like Mandalorian, where you don't even see his face, and how much he gives to that. He's truly a talent to be reckoned with, and this episode, I think, features his best performance in the show that I've seen so far, when he's finally reunited with his brother. He has a very heartfelt conversation with him in private where he finally unloads all of this emotion that he's been bottling up, and you really see a side of Joel and Pedro Pascal as an actor that I've never seen. I think this episode alone could garner him an Emmy nomination, and this is before the potential emotional outbursts that will continue to happen throughout the rest of his show. But this episode in particular, he truly blew me away as a performer, and so did Bella Ramsey, because this episode forces Joel and Ellie to come to a place where Joel cares about her enough to say that I think you would be better off going forward with my brother, because I'm old and I'm dealing with a lot of health issues, and physically I am just tired, and my brother is in better shape than me to do this, and he's going to protect you. So just the fact that Joel is already thinking halfway about her, he's not thinking as much about the reward he's putting her before that now. And you can see in Ellie's eyes when he even suggests the idea of separation that she doesn't want to deal with that, and she has this beautiful outburst about how everyone has always abandoned her. Heather, it was her parents or friends. And she too is going to secure an Emmy nomination. If both of them don't, that's gonna be stupid, man. The mystery behind the Firefly's abrupt departure from the university is fleshed out more in the game via a series of documents and recordings. X-ray images show that research was done and those infected by cordyceps. So whatever was going on here likely had something to do with finding a cure and or understanding how the infection works. This is why Marlene desperately wanted Ellie to make her way here. From the game, we find out the university was getting slammed by infected. In fact, there's a whole section where Joel has to take down a bloater by himself using a flamethrower. Long story short, the university became a less than ideal location to continue their work, and the decision was made to move to St. Mary's and Salt Lake City. In the show, we see this giant corkboard with a bunch of push pins all leading towards Salt Lake City, while in the game is Joel through the university dorms, which tells a grim story of the dorm students holding themselves up during the start of the pandemic, finding out no one is coming for them, and eventually succumbing to the infected. The Firefly sign indicates they're in the right place, but everyone seems to have left. A packing list confirms their suspicion the Fireflies aren't here like in the game. Joel and Ellie hear a commotion upstairs, only to be startled when they find out it's just the monkeys. As we take a closer look at the corkboard, we see these multiple pins indicating what seem to be Firefly encampments, all leading towards Salt Lake. There's even a bunch of red pins originating from Seattle and major location in The Last of Us Part 2. We also see a bunch of radio stations which the Fireflies may have been using to communicate with one another. Their investigation is cut short when a group of raiders descend upon them. In the game, Joel is pushed from the second floor and onto this steel rod, while the show has him attacked by a raider and a part of a baseball bat lodged in his stomach, even depicting Joel grabbed this dude, didn't snap his neck like one of many of the kill animations. In the game is much more brutal in this section, as Ellie and an extremely wounded Joel make their escape. But I understand why the show has a more toned-down version. It's just not believable to have someone wounded in the gut taking down 20+ guys. Both versions end with Joel and Ellie escaping on horseback, and the show ends with a rendition of "To Peach Modes." Never Let Me Down, the same 80s song that played at the end of episode 1.